Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 1 of The Promised Neverland. The next and actually final reaction for the Winter 2019 anime preview reactions for this channel. Yes, there's a lot of other anime that have come out this season, and maybe at some point in the future I'll end up checking one or two of them out. But for now, this is the last of the 4 that I am checking out for the preview, and yeah. So with the current schedule, even if I like this, I'll probably hold off on this series for now, just to be able to just save on time and everything, and I'll get to it when I can. Just saying, I would like to get to it now. I just don't have the slot space in my schedule. There's no way I can put a second series onto one of the weekday slots. So this one will be more of a preview for the future. But it will go straight onto my list if I do like it enough to want to continue. So The Promised Neverland. This is a series I've heard about for a while now, mainly thanks to Chibi Reviews. Chibi Reviews is an anime reviewer I watch on YouTube. He also does RWBY, a Western animation series, but mostly just anime. And he has been raving about it with the manga ever since he started reading it. He talks about it all the time. And this is a series he has been really hyped for, really waiting for. I know pretty much nothing about it. I had read the synopsis when it first came onto AniChart, but since then I've forgotten it, so I don't actually know anything about what this is about. I also have not seen any PVs or anything, so I don't know what the art or animation looks like at all. I know pretty much nothing about this. I'm going in as blind as I possibly can. And I think that might help. Now, I'm hoping this doesn't end up being another series that everyone else ends up falling in love with, but I just don't see it with. One of those shows like Yujo Senki, also known as Saga of Tanya the Evil, that I just didn't get into. I saw it all, but mostly because of reactions from Rarity Dash. I couldn't get into the series for the life of me. And there's been multiple other shows like that. There's that one other big one, and I can't remember what it was. It was like up for Anime of the Year, I think, at one point. I can't think of what it was. It has the like really chibi-ish design. They're going into that like cavernous giant hole in the middle of the island. That giant, like, not really a crater, but you know what I'm talking about. It has all the monsters and stuff down there. There's the bunny character, and then it supposedly gets really grimdark and stuff. I cannot think of what it's called. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But that was another example of an anime that is super loved by pretty much everyone, and I just never got into. I could never like understand where all the hype was. I tried watching it multiple times. Made in Abyss, that's it. Made in Abyss. I tried watching it multiple times. I couldn't stand it. It was so bad to me. And it's just like, I don't understand where all the interest was coming from with it. So, I'm hoping this doesn't end up being a series like that, because it's receiving about the same amount of hype as a show like that has. I'm hoping it's more along the lines of My Hero Academia, a show that received a huge amount of hype that ended up living up to it, and even after a while, surpassing it. Even if the first episode doesn't end up being amazing, which at the time when I first watched My Hero, I actually wasn't as into it as most people. I thought the first episode was a little bit of a letdown when I first watched it, no joke. But then the second episode turned me around completely. But yeah, I'm really, really hoping to love this series. Again, I don't know anything about it, so I'm pretty much like just hoping blindly. But we're going to find out. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay. So, The Promised Neverland. As I mentioned in the pre-thoughts, very hyped up. A lot of people were excited for this, and I was hoping that it would exceed my expectations. It would be another My Hero Academia, and go beyond what, pun intended, not really go, excuse me. I have popcorn kernels stuck in my teeth from earlier. Not really a pun, but, you know, reference, I guess. But yeah, I was hoping it would go beyond just being kind of generic, and unfortunately it didn't. There are a couple things that did surprise me a little bit, but not enough. Honestly, while watching this, the only things that really took me off guard were the demons, or monsters, or whatever they're supposed to be. I'm not entirely sure. They looked kind of demonic. But then again, that just might be their design. They might just be general monsters. Or they even they could maybe even be mutated humans, or some kind of science experiment gone wrong, or whatever. Most likely demons, though. Most likely demons are just some kind of monster. I doubt it's going to go anywhere to a science experiment or anything. With the way it's set up, I doubt it. So these demons or whatnot were the only thing that really took me off guard. While watching pretty much the entire time, I felt like it was really uninteresting. It kind of felt really generic and boring. It's like, oh, you could tell what was going to happen from the beginning. Like, the very beginning, when you see them standing at the gate, and it's kind of established they're not allowed to go beyond there, and kind of like, oh, we want to see what's outside. What are we going to do when we finally get outside? And it's just like, no, it's super obvious they're being kept here for a reason, and that it's not a good reason. Whatever is out there is very bad. And again, I didn't necessarily assume it was going to be monsters or anything. I thought, honestly, there was probably going to be like some kind of war they're being shielded from or something. And that when they're released from their orphanage, they're like shipped off to they're shipped off to war or whatever. They're like forced to fight in it. So the demon part did take me a little bit by surprise, but it's like it makes a lot of sense looking back on things. It just I feel like it just works a little more. And then again, war could even still be part of it, because there's plenty of shows out there, plenty of games and whatnot, where demons and humans are at war. Maybe that's what happened. I mean, apparently there was a history to humanity where these kids know all this kind of stuff, so maybe along the line, these demons or monsters or whatever they are appeared, and the humans started to go to war with them, and maybe this orphanage thing is maybe some kind of compromise. Like, oh, we're going to raise these humans that no one wants. We're going to raise them for you for food, so you can have these humans. Just leave the rest of us alone. Maybe it's something like that. Otherwise, I just have no idea. Because there's not enough really to give us a sense of where this is going. I assume that our characters, our main three heroes, are going to escape. That they're probably the first arc of the series is probably going to be them trying to escape, and then afterwards it's going to be them trying to survive out in the real world, something along those lines. And then I was kind of wondering as I was watching, especially after it was revealed that this mama or this woman, I think her name was Isabel or something, Isabella, something like that. I was wondering after it was revealed that she was, I guess, working with these demons. I was thinking, like, okay, is she with them, or is she being forced to do this, or what's the case here? Well, after really thinking about it, it's kind of obvious. She showed no signs of remorse. Her face was emotionless. if she was truly being forced to do this, or if this was something she didn't want to do, she would show it in her face, even if just in her eyes or in some very very small body or facial expression. She would showcase that remorse. Her body expression, her facial expression, everything kind of showed that she was, I wouldn't say into this, but that it was something she just didn't care about. She didn't care that this little girl, Connie, was killed off. She didn't care that that Connie was being harvested. She showed no signs of remorse. So I don't know if, like, I don't know what the deal exactly is, but she clearly she's fine with it. She's probably going to end up being one of the main bad guys for all we know. I don't know fully how this is going to go. There's another woman who looks like she's in the same kind of position as Isabella, or whatever her name was. She's shown in the opening, so I'm wondering who she's going to be. Probably another farm leader or something. But yeah, overall this series just seems kind of basic to me. It doesn't seem like it's trying anything really new or exciting or special. It's like these kinds of ideas have been done before. Maybe not to death like other concepts have, but they've been done before, and honestly, this just doesn't come across as anything special to me. This doesn't come across as anything amazing or anything spectacular or really much of anything. I really have no strong thoughts regarding it. I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't, like, bad. But I wouldn't call it good either. I wouldn't call it, like, anything worthwhile. So, yeah, I'm not going to be reacting to this. I'll continue to check it out for now on my own time. I'll continue to watch it as it airs or whenever I can get to it. But as for actual reactions, no. It's not something I want to put that time and effort into recording and editing and all of that jazz. Not something I really want to put that kind of time into. But hell, maybe it'll end up proving me wrong. I mean, I believe I said it during my pre-thoughts, or maybe I was just thinking it, didn't actually say it, I don't know. But the first episode of My Hero Academia, I wasn't that fond of when I first watched it. I actually didn't really start to get in. It actually took the second episode to really get me interested. So hell, maybe this could be the same way. And then there's the characters who really, there's not really much to talk about with them. Emma, Norman, I want to say, and Ray, I think? I don't know. Emma was the only one really focused on. Well, okay, no, the other guy, the white-haired guy, I think Norman, I want to say Norman, he was kind of focused on too, but Ray was kind of just there. They're very generic. Ray is a generic loner character. Norman is a generic, smart kid. And Emma is a generic, rambunctious kid. They're super generic. They don't have much of anything to them. They're not memorable characters. At least not yet. Again, that could change very easily. They might end up becoming amazingly memorable characters. But as of this first episode, they're not memorable. They're generic as hell. They're basic. It's kind of sad, really. I believe I've heard before that this is supposed to be a shonen anime, but it seems more of a psychological horror to me. I don't really see the shonen aspect to it. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be a battle shonen. And I'm not saying that there aren't other shonen out there that aren't more like this, more in this realm of psychological / horror. I mean, Death Note's a big one. Death Note is a shonen series that is more psychological based, with a very minor horror aspect thrown in as well. Yeah, like I said, I was having popcorn and the kernels are still stuck in my teeth. I thought one came loose on my tongue or something. Either way, Either way. But unlike Death Note, this series doesn't really grip you in right away. Again, it's not terrible, and it's not like it pushes you away as a viewer, but it just doesn't do enough. It doesn't do anywhere near enough to really grab my attention and keep it. It doesn't hook me in. The opening's okay. It's nothing special. It's not like best opening of the season worthy. Apparently it's done by one of the artists who did one of the My Hero openings. I don't know which one offhand. I don't know. I don't think it was season 1. It would have had to have been season 2 or 3. But I'm not sure which one. It was Overworld. What, right? Now I'm even questioning that. Either way, like I said, it was okay. The Mob Psycho and Kakegurui season 2 openings are better. But it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything, like, terrible. I'd watch it again, but it's nothing I'm going to get excited about. And that's just kind of this episode. It's nothing I'm going to get excited about. It's not even something I would recommend to someone to watch. It's just kind of okay. And unfortunately, that just doesn't do it for me for the most part. Like I said, I'm going to continue to give it a chance, but on my own. So there will be no reactions or anything. We'll see how I feel about it, just in terms of how I feel about it. We'll see where it goes from here. And hell, if it does end up surprising me, if it does end up becoming better than I could have ever imagined or thought based on this first episode, then awesome. I'm always glad when shows can do that. I mean, I didn't think Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid was going to be good when I first saw it. I didn't think My Hero was going to be this good when I first saw it. Most shows I don't necessarily think are going to be that good. There's very few shows that I'm really on board with right away. I mean, obviously, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's one of the ones that I was always on board with. And Ruby was one I was big on, like, right off the bat. But it's like, for most shows, it's like, I'm not, like, really into them. But at the same time, most shows I'm also not really apathetic towards. And that's honestly, I think, the best way to describe my feelings towards this first episode of The Promised Neverland. I'm just apathetic towards it. I don't care enough. Again, I care enough to want to continue giving it a shot for maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. But not enough to continue reacting, and not enough to recommend it to anyone. It just feels like it's just not enough. But I mean, it's not like it could be worse. The characters are harmless enough, they're innocent enough, they're cute enough. The art design is a little weird, but I mean, it's okay. I kind of like the idea of this cute, innocent, nice, friendly, loving girl being thrust into this horrifying, evil, dark, and destructive world. I've always kind of liked that concept, just the difference between it. So there is something to like, and the characters, like, they aren't unlikable. They're just generic, but they're still likable. The problem is, I really, really think they need to be developed and expanded more upon for this to work at all. Characters are one of the major factors in making a series work. You need to have characters that work. Otherwise, the series isn't worth watching in my eyes. And that goes for a story as well. The story needs to be interesting. And again, this just kind of feels a bit generic to me. It feels like something that's been done before. It feels like something that's really not that special. I mean, I could predict most of what was going to happen. I knew Connie was going to be dead very, very early on, like well before she actually died. I knew right from the very first scene that shit was going to go down and that things behind the cage or fence or whatever were going to be bad. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. but still. And being predictable is not always a huge problem for me, but when it feels like it's just, there's nothing to it, like it's like you've seen this all before, then it's a problem. But either way, tell me what you thought of this first episode of The Promised Neverland in the comments below. And thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,